All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is a wrap on the 2024 D3 season. What a season. What a season indeed, but you know what time it is.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yes, Jim Mora, it is in fact playoff time. It is here, and it did not come without some drama. We're going to get into that. You're going to have to bear with me a little bit. There are lots of stats, lots of storylines and things that I feel the need to cover. So we're just going to dive right in with how we got here. Last week, I predicted it. I thought we would see Dusty in the dance, and that is in fact what happened. He made sure to do his part, posting a top score on the week. So Dusty gets in his first top score of the season, and in fact all the teams that made the playoffs had a top score, so he got that job done. A 173.68. His team is on fire, and I would not be the team. I would not want to be the team facing him in the first round. The other drama was certainly in the Bill-Matt matchup. Matt did all that he could to try and get his buddy Josh into the playoffs by beating up on Bill. He posted a 149.5, and I'm just going to check. I was trying to find it to see if in fact that was his highest score on the year, because I think it was. It was 149.5, Matt's top score coming against Bill on the last week of the season. Matt's previous high was 144, which was actually just 2 weeks ago against Steve. So he certainly brought it and tried to play spoiler and find his way in. But Bill overcame with a 170, just a crazy score from Bill as well. So he takes care of business. 43.8 from Puka Nacua. So I think all the mistimed injury is probably forgiven there. 32.5 from Joe Burrow. Even gets Garendo, the hot waiver claim, and that pays off with a 26.8 for Bill. And his win put him at 8-6. So both Dusty and Bill get wins, which means Josh needed to win to make the playoffs. He entered Monday Night Football down by, I think it was 1 or 2. I don't remember. But I do know that Jared had Jamar Chase and Josh had CeeDee Lamb and T. Higgins. And Jamar Chase went off for a 47-point night. Josh really never had a chance. The score didn't even wind up being all that close. So Josh loses. He falls to 8-6. And because of the point tiebreakers, falls out of the playoffs. That makes Josh the first team to win 8 or more games in a season and not make the playoffs. It was a tough weekend for Josh. UNLV got bounced out of the college football playoff race by Boise, and then he gets bounced out of the D3 postseason race by Jared, the newcomer, and that is a tough one. Don't feel too bad for Josh though. He's got 9 playoff appearances all time. That is tied for second with a couple other owners. Bill and Chris Ports also have 9 all-time playoff appearances. So Josh will stick on 9, and it'll be probably a long off-season as he questions who some of his keepers are going to be, and he probably will never want to own T. Higgins on his team again, who came up with a 4.3 against the Cowboys in the same day where Jamar Chase had a 47. That's a tough pill to swallow. It's got to be a tough pill to swallow, no question. In terms of all-time notes here, all 6 teams that made the playoffs are now in the top 16 of highest scoring seasons of all time. So thanks, Fractional Points. You kind of knew that would happen. That charge is led by Bill, Jared, and Steve, who now own the 4th, 5th, and 6th highest scoring seasons ever. So Bill and Jared are the 4th and 5th highest scoring teams of all time in a single season, and they are going to match up in round 1. Some other fun with that matchup. Jared technically is the top win percentage of all time now at a 643. Obviously, it's a small sample for him. Dusty's at a 642. I am third, and Bill is fourth. So we have 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3 in terms of all-time win percentage meeting up in the playoffs. But before we get to some of that action, let's talk about the teams that didn't make it. Go in reverse order up the standings. Pete gets dead last, 12th place. He will be picking first overall. And I will look back and see how many times Pete has finished in dead last. I don't think it's very often, but he did finish dead last in 2016 when he went 1-12. That might be about it. I don't know if there was another last place. You have to bear with me. Need a stats person here with me. So that was the only other time. So this is just the second time ever Pete has finished in 12th. He goes 4-10, and he ends on an absolute low note, posting just a 63.12. That is the lowest Week 14 score of all time, which beats out, that might not be the right phrase, but he beats out Squigs, who scored 66 in Week 14 of the 21 season. And it is also Pete's third lowest scoring week ever. So it really ended on a low note, and certainly will be looking forward to 2025. Also a rough weekend for Pete as we went and watched Penn State lose. It was a fun game. We had a good time, but football-wise, you never want to lose. Moving up the standings from there, Ports also goes 4-10. He will be picking second in the draft, and that is an improvement from last year. If you recall, Ports actually got last year, went 3-11, so he goes 4-10 this year. So look forward to him going 5-9 next year. Moving up from there, Matt also goes 5-9, which is exactly what he went last year when he finished in 11th. So he also moves up from 11th to 10th. But you're sort of sensing a theme here, because in 10th last year was Cree. He went 5-9. He goes 5-9 again and finishes 9th. So he moves up a spot into 9th. But Cree has now gone 5-9 in both of his seasons. 10 total wins in 2 years, just one more than Jared now has in one season. We will obviously get to Jared in a minute. So Cree finishes 9th. Squigs down in 8th. A little bit of a drop-off from him, obviously. Two-time defending champ. Just couldn't quite pull it off the third year in a row. First time he's missed the playoffs since he went 5-9 in 2021 and finished 11th. And the other team, we already talked about him, Josh, finishes 7th, 8-6. Just a brutal turn of events for Josh. He finished in 3rd last year, 2nd the year before, has not missed the playoffs since 2017, when he went 5-8, back when we only played 13 weeks. So this is the first time since we've gone to the 14-week schedule that Josh has failed to make the playoffs. It's a tough run for him. Certainly the points were not there, so it shouldn't be all that surprising. He actually finished with fewer points than both Cree and Ports. And let's see, just a little bit more than Matt. So finished with fewer points than a lot of other playoff teams. So that 8-6 record is it's a mirage. We can call it what it is. It is a mirage. And so that is a wrap on their seasons. You guys can haggle it out in the toilet bowl bracket, but the draft order is assembled, and so that is it. So you just heard it there. It is Pete 1. Ports will be picking 2nd. Matt will have the 3rd pick, and he's obviously hoping Ashton Genty's there. Cree will pick after that. Then Squigs, followed by Josh. The rest of the draft order gets determined by playoff results, and so we will have those shortly. So speaking of those playoffs, Jim Mora, welcome to the postseason. The 1 seed did change hands. That went to Steve. Steve gets a first-round bye for the 2nd consecutive season, 2nd overall. He is looking for his first Deerdorf Bowl title. Ben also gets a first-round bye for the first time ever. It's his 6th playoff appearance. This is his first-round bye. So good job, Ben. He finishes on a little bit of a lull, 2-game losing streak. Started, obviously was out 10-2, finishes 10-4, but is in perfectly fine shape. However, he finished 6th among playoff teams in points scored. So he certainly needs the bye, needs to get some things figured out before he gets the winner of myself and Dusty. I get the 3rd seed because I won our division. So for Steve, that is his 2nd division title. Ben wins his 2nd division title in his history. I have now won 4 division titles, my first since winning the Saquon Forever division in 2018. So I guess it's pretty appropriate that I win another division thanks to Saquon Barkley. Good work. This is my 10th playoff appearance all time. Dusty is making his 8th playoff appearance all time, all since 2016. So he is just a playoff making machine and has made the playoffs every single year since his first season. He debuted in the league in 2016. He went 5-8 and has made the playoffs every single time since then. Obviously has won 2 Deerdorf Bowls. He won in 18, he won in 20, and we'll be looking to do it again. Jared obviously is making his first playoff appearance in his first season. I don't know if I'm going to look back now and see in terms of debut seasons, if that's the best debut season of all time, but I have a feeling it might be based on, let's see, Squigs went 9-4 and finished 2nd in 2016. That was his debut season, so that's probably the bar. 9-4 in 2nd place. Jared is 9-5 and certainly is a contender for the Deerdorf Bowl. He actually finished 2nd in points to Bill, who at the last second with the huge Week 14 takes over the top scorer. Bill absolutely entering the playoffs, cooking right now. In terms of points scored, he's won 3 of 4. He's scored at least 135 points all 4 of those weeks, 154 or more. And all 3 of the wins, the week he lost, he scored 135, and Steve just happened to score 178. So Bill is kind of on fire. He also scored 177 in week 9. Again, not probably a team that you want to face, but we will, just by twist of fate, have the top 2 scoring teams meeting because of the way the seeding is. Sort of works out in like a college football playoff type situation. And then again, I mentioned Dusty Buffer Bill. First off, that is his, just so I get this in here. Out of fairness, this is Bill's 9th playoff appearance. I think I mentioned that earlier. So Bill, Josh, and Ports all have 9 playoff appearances. That's 2nd all time. I now have 10, which is the most all time. I mentioned Dusty with 8 is next right in there. So should be a banger of a playoffs. I think all 6 teams made it. Were the 6 teams that deserve to be in. Just like the college football playoff, all the teams that got in deserve to be there. Suck it, Alabama. Yeah, enjoy the whatever bowl, the toilet bowl against Michigan. All right, so let's get into it. The 2 matchups for playoff purposes are myself and Dusty, both at 8 and 6. That is technically the 3 versus 6. Winner gets Ben. I beat Dusty. Let me see here. In the playoffs last year, in the first round last year, 154 to 144, which is pretty wild. So we get to meet in the 2nd consecutive postseason. In our regular season matchup, Dusty won 147 to 105. That was back in week 5. This is going to be a tough one. I really did not want Dusty to make it. I was hoping to see, I didn't want to see Bill. I'll be honest. I was hoping to see Josh, but I'm going to get Dusty. And I have a feeling that Josh Allen is not going to score 6 touchdowns this week again, although it's at Detroit, so we're hoping for a high-scoring game. Sam Darnold gets the Bears, so that's an unfortunate matchup. I have Saquon against the Steelers, so hopefully he runs wild and the Steelers find a way to win. Jahmyr Gibbs obviously going against Buffalo. Get Calvin Ridley blessed against Cincinnati. Just the worst secondary I've ever seen. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. I'm concerned, Chase Brown has obviously been a revelation. He gets Zay Flowers to go against the Giants. The Ravens are a 16-point favorite. I don't know if you guys saw that. That's got to be like one of the biggest lines of all time in an NFL game. 16 points is hilarious. This one makes me nervous. I'm gonna pick myself to win because I got to pick myself to win. This is a great matchup of team logos if you haven't seen them. We're just trolling each other, but I'm going to take me. This is going to be a high-scoring game. I think you're going to have to be in the 130s at least to get a win here. There are just great matchups all over the board. Travis Kelce against the Browns. Like, this is just going to be, he's got Denver going against Anthony Richardson, who'll probably throw a pick six. I got the Ravens against the Giants. I think I might be playing quarterback. This should be interesting. But I will take myself to win against Dusty in the playoffs for the second year in a row and advance to face Ben. I actually will say the winner of this game, I think, goes to the Deerdorf Bowl. I think I mentioned Ben being the lowest scoring team. His team is kind of taking on water. So I think the winner here has a great path to get all the way through. And it is certainly easier than the other side of the bracket, which has Bill, Steve, and Jared, who I mentioned. 4th, 5th, and 6th highest scoring seasons of all time. Again, it's shaded by fractional points, but it gives you an idea. The top 3 scoring teams are all in one half of the bracket. We do not reseed, which we can look at in the future. But yeah, this is just going to be a banger. I don't know if it's matchup of the century, but these are 2 great playoff games against very successful teams. Bill, obviously, still without a Deerdorf Bowl. Jared, obviously, in his first year doesn't have one. And then Steve doesn't have one either. So one of the 3 of those teams will be playing for their first Deerdorf Bowl title. Myself and Dusty both have 2, and Ben has 1. So they will be playing someone who is looking for another one. And so the winner of this one, it's not going to be the same path. I don't know what will happen next week. Lamar versus Joe Burrow. We got Henry, Kamara, Jonathan Taylor. We got A-Chan. We got Jamar Chase and Puka. I mean, this is the resurrected careers of Devontae Adams and Adam Thielen. Former and current Cardinals tight ends, McBride and Ertz. This is just a banger. Like, I don't feel comfortable picking a winner, but I will pick Jared. Bill has a haunted history. He's overdue to overcome it, but I don't know. Maybe Lamar leaves the game early against the Giants because it's over and it's a big Derrick Henry game. I could see that. That would be definitely a path to victory for Bill. There's a lot of ways. This feels like a coin flip. Winner gets Steve. I'm going to take Jared. I have 0 confidence in it. Could see this one going either way. Don't really have confidence in either of my picks. That's just where we're at. Sorry, I had a coughing fit there and had to pause, but that is just where we're at. It's going to be a very interesting postseason, a very entertaining postseason. Obviously, we can get into maybe some rule changes as the postseason kind of wraps up. The league, because we're on Sleeper, will just remain open so trades can occur. But obviously, there were certainly some rule change suggestions that we are still considering. But for now, sit back, enjoy the postseason ride. The NFL playoff race is heating up. A huge game. I got the Eagles and Steelers, obviously, but the Broncos and Colts, that's a big game. And the AFC wildcard race, so just a ton of interesting stuff going on. And obviously, Bills and Lions. Should be a lot of good NFL games on as college football kind of takes a week off other than Army, Navy. Respect the troops. And that is about all I have for you there. Again, enjoy. Good luck to those participating in the postseason, except for Dusty.